Everybody, my name is Shravan Balaji. I'm a Quiz Bowl player, a History Bowl player, and the outgoing Secretary General of the East Brunswick Model United Nations Program. Mr. Madden has asked me to help him set up some sort of historical simulation involving crisis elements in order to make the International History Olympiad a more fun, more enjoyable event, and this is exactly what we're going to be doing here. The simulation that you will be seeing today will be the Boxer Rebellion simulation from the perspective of the Chinese government. You'll see myself and 4 delegates in my program here work together as the Dowager Empress, myself, and some of her ministers and advisors, the 4 delegates, in order to solve this crisis, work with both the Western nations and stop the Boxer Rebellion itself. We'll be stopping intermittently to give you some advice, to show you what's going on, just to make sure that you have a better understanding of Model UN and what this simulation really attempts to be. So at this point, I'm going to have each of the delegates introduce themselves.
Okay,
And your position.
Okay, hi, I'm Barbara Shi. Okay, I'm Barbara Shi, and I'm Representative Shi, representative of the Common Man.
Hi, I'm John Kona, and I'm the Chief Advisor.
Hi, my name is Aiden Lee, and I am the Minister of External Affairs.
Hi, my name is Karan Malhotra, and I'm General of the Imperial Army.
So, just a couple things here. The average committee for this topic, as you'll see later today, will be a lot larger than just 4 people. However, these are some of the best 4 delegates in our program, and based on some constraints, they'll be here to help us out, to help you out, to make sure you understand the process a little bit better. At this time, I'm going to motion for a roll call, as every Model UN procedure would really start. So I'm going to basically enter a roll call vote, a roll call procedure. The cabinet right now should all be seated. You all know me. I am the Dowager Empress Shi, and I am here in order to make sure that we can stop the Boxer Rebellion and find a peaceful solution in order to ensure that the Western nations don't control our affairs. Will Representative Shi of the Common People please raise their placard? Thank you. Will the Chief Advisor to the Dowager Empress please raise his placard? Thank you. Will the Minister of External Affairs please raise his placard? And will the General of the Imperial Army please raise his placard? Okay. So now that we have all 4 of you here, it is time to begin debate. At this time, we're going to ask that you raise your placard if you would like to speak. All right. Now we come to our first order of business, discussing this rebellion and its effects. Do I have any speakers as to how we may find a solution to this problem? Yes, General of the Imperial Army.
Well, being that I am General of the Imperial Army, I feel it is best that we take more military involvement with this current issue, as it has caused detriments to the social society of China, and that seeing as military involvement is currently lacking, it seems best that we go about this with a strategic military plan.
Thank you. I would remind all delegates to speak up. Any other speakers? Yes, Minister of External Affairs.
The Minister of External Affairs advises the Empress Dowager to possibly engage with talks with Western nations in order to build ties with them so we can possibly alleviate the rebellion that's occurring inside China.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Chief Advisor to the Empress.
The Chief Advisor would like to remind the Empress Dowager that it's imperative that we keep the integrity of China and not deal with these Western nations and stick to our own domestic problems.
Thank you. Any other speakers at this time? Yes, Representative Shi.
The representative of the Common Man wants to reiterate the point that the most important part is to talk to the people of China and work alongside them to get what they want in order to suppress the rebellion and work on what the country needs to do as a whole.
Thank you very much. So, breaking the fourth wall here, what you just saw was an example of a moderated caucus, where different people with different positions spoke up about their positions, their views, their opinions, and how they wanted to make sure that they could help solve this crisis. And that's what you want to try and do in a moderated caucus. You want to speak up, you want to give your opinion, and you want to try and offer meaningful content, facts, opinions, advice to the committee at large in order to solve the problem. So that is basically what you want to accomplish with a moderated caucus. All right, so our next order of business at this time will be...
Excuse me! This has gone on long enough. This rebellion has cost 15 of our men today, and you will not be able to continue running your government the way you have continued to run it.
Excuse me, who are you?
In the United States of America.
I come from Great Britain. I represent France.
And you are all accosting me here, why?
Because your rebellion has led to the death of my own men. It's one thing when you guys kill your own people. When you start infringing on our own men, then it has become a problem. We cannot no longer support the way you are running your government.
Thank you very much. We will take this into consideration as we move into debate.
If any of the representatives have any other questions? Minister of External Affairs.
First, I'd like to express my condolences. Secondly, I would like to ask if you would be open to talks so that the Chinese government can start getting rid of this issue.
We are open to having you guys communicate with the rebellion, and we are open to being involved in the process. However, we are completely unamenable to allowing this government to continue to run the way that it has run.
Thank you. That will be all the questions at this point. We thank the delegates for this update.
Here you go.
All right. So at that point, what you just saw was a crisis update. And a crisis update, you generally have either paper notification, a news article, or some sort of memo that is passed out by the chair, or crisis staffers, like those three gentlemen, just come in, barge into the room, make a dramatic monologue, and talk about a wrong that has been committed and how this committee needs to address it. In this specific case, 15 Westerners died, and that led to a lot of anger and essentially a lot of rage and sentiment from the European nations. So at this point, that's basically what a crisis update is.
And humanitarian aid for people who've already experienced loss.
All right, we just heard from people from European nations. We should definitely include a clause about how we can communicate with them. What do you guys think about that?
I think that's a good idea because in order for China to go about in its future relationships with Western nations, we have to mend the bond that was torn by the
I don't know how
these 15 people.
specific you want to make that, though, considering how it was Western nation influence that really was the root cause of this problem we have in China right now. So if we led that to a broader scale, maybe the solution wouldn't be as detrimental to the current problem.
But one of the most powerful influences in the world right now are those Western nations, and if they are willing to help, I really think that this is going to be a great benefit. So how about we add something in?
I agree with adding something.
What you just saw there was an example of an unmoderated caucus, or basically any sort of situation that involves the writing and drafting of a directive. A directive is how this committee will function in terms of basically getting stuff done in layman's terms. The directive will involve objectives, measures, actions that the committee as a whole would like to take. As you saw, the four delegates were working diligently together while having some cross-debate in order to ensure that the directive was successful, would get passed, and address the concerns of the crisis update. Generally, your directive will want to address the concerns of the crisis update, as whatever crisis that is being thrown at you is pushing you to go in a certain direction. And by responding in that direction, you'll have more favorable results for your committee. Right? So this directive that we're currently discussing at this point has only one clause, and that one clause is send a group of 8 eunuchs and other Chinese diplomats to discuss external affairs with Western nations in order to put down the Boxer Rebellion. Okay? We'll vote on this directive. All those delegates in favor, please raise your placards. All those opposed? With a vote of 3 delegates in favor, 1 against, this motion, this directive passes. We will now be sending a group of eunuchs and diplomats to meet with the Western nations in order to discuss ways to put down the Boxer Rebellion. Okay? All right. So at that point, what you just saw was an example of passing a directive, and passing a directive is just the same. It's basically the same procedure as you would pass anything else. You have delegates in favor and you have delegates against. You could have delegates abstain. That wasn't the situation here, but basically that's sort of what played out here. Passing a directive is easy. Majority of delegates who vote yes. Majority of delegates who vote in one direction is basically the way whether the directive is passed or not. So if the majority of delegates vote yes, then the directive passes. If they vote no, it doesn't. Abstentions here are counted towards the total number, but not towards a yes or a no. Hi, my name is Shravan Balaji. I am the person in charge of setting up these historical simulations on behalf of Dave Madden and the International History Olympiad. I hope you enjoy these simulations. This one will focus on colonial Williamsburg and the House of Burgesses right before the start of the American Revolution. With me, I have a patriot, a loyalist, and a moderate. These are the three factions that will be represented in the House of Burgesses during your simulation. This simulation will serve as sort of a mock presentation to sort of understand how committee will go forth and what you'll be doing in committee. So, at this point, are there any speakers on the floor? Yes, sir.
The recent acts passed by the British have oppressed our people. The Townshend Act, the Sugar Act, the Tea Act, and the Coercive Acts have infringed upon our rights. We are merely puppets for the British Empire. We must act now and step up, for now is the time for revolution.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other speakers? Yes.
These acts have been anything but oppressive. In fact, it's completely necessary because the Crown requires monetary recompense for all the aid that they sent to Western oppression in the war. And considering how meager these taxes actually are in comparison to what they're taxing their own people, we should be grateful, if anything, for their continued support.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Yes.
Of course, this tyrant has caused us many atrocities, but we should not revolt against his power. He's too strong for us. In fact, we should just communicate with the king. Ask if there are any other options. Make him understand us.
Right. Thank you, delegates. Next topic of discussion.
Sir, Madam, I am a field officer from the Fairfax County of Virginia. It seems that there has been an outbreak. The slaves within the areas are in large revolt. There is pressing issues. The local government is overrun and we need immediate action. I'll be taking 3 questions.
Thank you, kind stranger.
What was the amount of these slaves revolting?
The current number of the slaves revolting in the area are unreported. What is reported is that the revolt is currently spreading. More than 5 entire plantations have been affected, and this is only growing, and you must act within a pressing amount of time.
Do you know which groups are the leadership of this revolt?
The leadership has not yet been identified, but field officers have reported that the slaves are congregating within one plantation in the area. This plantation has not yet been identified.
Are you aware of the reasons behind the slave revolt?
The reasons are not yet unknown, but our field officers are reporting extreme displeasure with the way they're being treated within their current confinements.
Right. Thank you very much. I mean, they are slaves after all. At this point, we'll have some discussion as to how we will address this pressing issue. Do we have any speakers? Yes.
This is a manipulation of King George and Lord Dunmore himself. This is a clear example of them meddling in our internal affairs, and we must revolt now to stop further action.
Yes.
I don't believe the English crown can be held responsible for the slave revolt. If anything, there could be a variety of reasons as to why the slaves did revolt. In which case, it could be like they might not have been happy with the masters or the way they've been treated, in which case that's the responsibility of the American people. So instead, we should be looking towards the crown for the continued military aid and support.
Thank you.
With being unsure if it was King George or just the slaves themselves, holding revolt is not peaceful. It will make things worse. Instead, we should find the problem first.
Thanks you to all of you. Alright, so at that point, what you just saw was a great way to respond to a crisis update. What that means is, as these individual delegates heard the update from a crisis staffer, they thought about it in their heads, they decided what course of action they'd like to take, and they actually tried to address the issue. Whenever a crisis update comes, it is vital that the delegates in the room attempt to address the issue, as that's what's going to make the committee dynamic flow better and will make committee more fun in the end. I thank you for watching these clips. I hope they're very helpful for you in your time at the IHO. Mr. Madden is putting together a fantastic event for all of you. Signing off, Shravan Balaji and the rest of the East Brunswick Model United Nations team. Thank you.